In this video we're going to introduce play chance mapping, in which you can define a series of maps that characterize the likely chance of success or failure for all of the individual components or elements that combine to produce a successful play or prospect. The process allows all the key components of risk to be evaluated across a broad area and allows risk distributions to be defined and areas to be targeted for detailed prospect evaluation. So play chance mapping can be found in the Decision Support Domain tab, and the Decision Support Domain tab can be found in the Geology and Geophysics user perspective. So we can choose to create a new or edit an existing. We'll have a look at creating a new one first of all. So in the Settings tab you define a template, whether you want to produce a chance of success or a chance of failure map. And then you can define whether you want to define those elements yourself or use a default set. In this case we'll choose a default chance of success, and then we can move into the Input tab. So in here we need to define all the elements that go into making your chance of success map, which will be a product of all these elements. So with the default set you have various elements that you need to set, such as the trap charge, reservoir adequacy, seal adequacy, and so on. So to define these elements, so for instance I might look at source rock type presence, and this will open up the settings for that particular element. So I have the option to choose a chance of success and apply that for the whole play, and you would set that between 0 and 1, with 0 being no chance and 1 being 100% chance of success. Alternatively, you can add in a chance of success surface, which must have a chance of success template. So if I set this, you'll see that that now has been defined. So the other option in here is to use a transform, and in here you would provide a property surface or an attribute, and then you could choose to use a simple transform to transform those values to a chance of success, or choose to use a function. So you can of course add new elements into the tree, and you do that simply by right clicking and inserting a new element in there. And you can also remove elements. Okay, so there's a lot of elements to set in here, so what we'll do is we'll choose to edit an existing chance of success, and then choose any from our drop down box in here. So we can see in here that all the elements have been set for this chance of success run, and that in this case these elements have been modified. So we can take a look at some of these as examples. So for instance reservoir quality. So in here we're using a property surface, in this case the porosity for my shore face environment from my input pane, and we're using a simple transform to transform those porosity values into a chance of success. Okay, so we can set these values like so. So a low chance of success for our lowest porosity and a higher chance of success for our highest porosity. So within these different elements, of course, you can choose various calculations as to whether you multiply them together, take the minimum, the maximum, the average, or combine. So for instance, for reservoir rock type presence, we're going to take the average of our shore face and our channelized reservoir in there. Okay, so let's move on to the Output tab, where we can choose to output play chance surfaces only, output all chance surfaces, or output all surfaces. We can include the date in the name, and we can use the first surface in the play chance map input tree to get that grid size and position, or get the limits from a selected object. In the Options tab, you can determine what happens at areas where you have undefined values, either set those to undefined at those locations or set a chance for those locations. Okay, so once we've set all our elements, we can test it and run it. Okay, so that's complete. It's actually switched on our chance of success map for us, and that can be found in the play chance mapping folder in the input pane. So the overall chance of success is the one that is switched on automatically. So high chance of success in the greens, lower chance of success in the reds, but you have the individual chance of success maps in their relevant folders as well. So you can have a look at the chance of success for the reservoir, the trap for instance, and so on.